Kerrit Podcast. Podcast, good song.
Yeah, this sounds like something carrots could grow to.
Crunch into us.
What's up, Doc? What are we doing?
I don't know.
Fuck them.
Crunch.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the long-awaited episode that we've been meaning to do for 17 weeks. More like 3 years, I guess. Or 4 years. I don't know.
It's a sequel to another episode that we did years ago. This is the, I'm not excited to record the episode, I'll be honest with you, because, like, I do keep thinking about this movie. However, I've said all the things that I've thought about it, and I've watched so many things about it, just comparing both versions, and I've talked to you about it, and now it's like, what new can I say?
We don't care anymore. I know we unintentionally waited too long, and I think that it's I gotta say, it's tough having a show where there's a relevant thing, because things pass so quickly in pop culture these days. Like, all of a sudden, it's a blip on the radar, regardless of what it is for the most part. Like you can watch Avengers Endgame on Disney Plus right now. You know, like, it's not, who cares, right? But and it's funny because, like, if we're adults. If we miss a week here or there, or if we randomly, accidentally just really dive into a movie like Nomadland, all of a sudden, like, a week is gone, and like we meant to talk about Justice League the week it came out, more or less, and then Nomadland, we were like, this is the worst. We have to talk about this instead.
Well, I think it's because Nomadland is like, everyone's loving it, and then Justice League got a lot of hate, and most of it, I will say, people are like, well, this is better than the Joss Whedon cut, but it's still not good. I saw that a lot, and from the podcast I listened to, a lot of them said that, and I'm like, I don't think we watched the same movie, because I really liked Batman versus Superman, and I did not like Justice League. And I mean,
wait, you did? Oh, you mean like the Whedon version?
The Whedon version, yeah, I hated it. And then I saw this one, and I was like, this is like one of the best movies. Like, this is really good. Yeah. And then people were like, no, it's better, but it's still shit. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? So, I don't know. I really, really loved Justice League, the Snyder cut. Loved it.
Yeah, the older I get, the less fun things are. And it's not because they have lost an intrinsic value of funness. It's because everyone else, I live in a world where I'm always around some form of critique. Yeah. Because, and I could ignore those. I could, but it's hard because I like looking into that stuff. And I don't think it's an addiction. It's not like I need to see what people think. It's more like I'm kind of curious. You know, like, I'm part of that community. Yeah. And so, then I see people kind of shitting on it, saying what you have touched on. And I have seen that too. I thought it was great. I think that there are flaws with it, but I can't wait to get to those.
I can't wait to get to those flaws.
Yeah, because but the thing is too, like, and this is why it's a sequel to our Batman versus Superman episode from like 5 years ago, is because it literally touches on the exact same themes that we talked about in that motherfucking show. Yeah, I'm just getting a burst of energy here talking about this, actually, because, we were so young and dumb and full of purity, and yet we still totally nailed what I think everyone loves about Justice League. And I mentioned it in our Nomadland episode. I don't know, or maybe not, but it doesn't matter. The fact that just watching something that is so singular in vision, that is uninhibited by outside interference, studio interference, or whatever, is just nice. It's just nice to see. Even if there are flaws, it's like you accept it more because you're like, well, okay, it's like a loved one. It's like my cat. Like, my cat is so awesome, but is such an asshole sometimes. But I'm not gonna like hurt it or really even criticize it because, like, it's a fucking cat, you know?
Well, it's so strange to me because there's so many things that I enjoy that other people do not enjoy, which is fine. We can have our opinions, but I'm definitely guilty of this too, but there's a point where your opinion becomes belief, and it's like, well, this is gospel. So I'll say something like, Sonic the Hedgehog wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was genuinely an enjoyable movie. And then people have hang-ups about, what did Olive Garden sponsor this movie? Jesus Christ. And it's like, that's the takeaway. And it's like, but for me, it's like, if you're doing like a comedy thing, like Ryan George, if you watch those pitch meetings, those are so funny, because it's picking apart every fucking movie. Like, great movies, terrible movies. It's all fun. It's in good fun. It's fun.
I just to interject, I do find myself not enjoying the ones that he does of good movies as much.
Yeah,
I've watched them.
They're harder. It's like Infinity War, Endgame. Yeah.
I know, I'm kind of like, I get it, I guess, but
yeah.
And it brings to mind, I know this is not really where you were going with this, but just it's interesting that he is only producing these videos to create content, because on YouTube you have to create content all the time.
Yep.
And he has hundreds of those videos, so he'll just do the bad ones and the good ones, anything in between. Unlike us, who randomly missed out on Justice League Fervor 3 weeks ago. So
it's fine. I don't care. No one watches this. No one listens. I don't put enough stuff up. I don't know what I'm doing wrong to, like, I'm putting stuff in the I'm literally, there are YouTube tutorials about like what you have to do to get big, like to get people to see the shit. And I'm doing all those things, and then the algorithms are like, we're not going to send this to anybody. And you're like, fuck, why am I even trying then? You know, it's not, I can share it so many times in my own thing for people to see, but then, the people that want to see it will see it, which is great. Thanks for watching or listening. But then there's so much like footwork going into the extra part. Like, making this is fucking hard enough, but I know all those things, and then I have to learn a new set of skills to like get it out to people. And then when you hand it over to the people that send it out to the people, they're like, our algorithms aren't going to pick it up. And you're like, well, fuck me then, because I played by all the rules, so I don't know what to do. So you just kind of say, fuck it, we're going to talk about Justice League 3 weeks after the fact.
Yeah, and whatever, it is what it is, and we're not going to be like those pitch meeting videos where we're just throwing out random videos just because we happen to hit it big.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, those pitch meetings are like a part of another thing, but he also has his. Yeah, he also has his own channel, and he'll put stuff up on there. But I mean, he makes like sketches with just himself as well, and they're funny. But Ryan George is very funny. But my whole point was like, it doesn't seem when he does those things, they don't seem narcissistic. Is that the word? No. What negative, I guess.
Yeah. They don't. They're all in good fun.
Yeah, but then you'll see people who are like, you know, shitting on the one tiny thing, like what I did with The Gray. Like, the thing that takes me out is that, like, these wolves would not do that in real life for some reason. I mean, I should watch it again. I should watch it again for sure. But you know, and as I get older, I kind of regret having feelings about certain things, like, you know, movies and caring about them so much, but I still can't stop caring about them, you know? Like, we picked apart Wonder Woman 1984, and originally I was like, I don't think this is as bad as everyone's saying, and then it kept going, and I was like, I kind of see, and then I thought more about it, and then we had our episode, and it completely changed my mind on it, because what I was doing is rewriting it as I was watching. Justice League, I didn't have to rewrite a fucking thing. I have one qualm with the movie that I can remember. That's it.
Justice League was a good movie, because you're right, you didn't have to rewrite anything, but beyond that, it was presented in such a way, for me, my experience was like, I was just experiencing it. Like, I was just watching it. Yes. I didn't have to think about anything. Like, it wasn't confusing. Like, it just kept going. And I was just like, this is so interesting to see this movie unfold based on how long it took to get to screen, the epic length of it and like the epic vision that you never see for a movie like this.
Yeah.
And so to see like such an adult take with its hits and misses and like all the pockmarks or whatever, however that phrase goes, like it was just super enjoyable. Like awesome. I
loved it.
It was so awesome.
Dude, I loved it. I took little breaks here and there at the chapter marks because there's like, you know, part 1, part 2, however many parts, part 6. And
there's
then
6, yep, and then the epilogue.
6 parts and then the epilogue. And I treated it as like a miniseries, like a little thing that you can watch in segments. Like, and here's the thing too. Everything is binging now, like binge. You can binge watch a whole season of a show in a day. And then movies come out and people still, I don't know, the culture's so weird. I don't know how to put it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's so
I have
frustrating.
noticed that. It is frustrating. It's something that's like, you can talk endlessly about. It's constantly shifting.
Mm-hmm.
It's currently in such a weird phase because of the internet and social media and like instant gratification and instant like pleasure from hitting the tweet and getting your fun, like the sound. I'm assuming there's a sound. I have for a long time. There's a tweet, right? It goes like or whatever Twitter sounds like.
I never hear that. I know there used to be email swishes, like whoosh, when you send off an email.
Like Pavlovian response. You're foaming at the mouth so that you shit on something and then move on with whatever else is going on.
It's just so funny. I mean, all of my shit doesn't go out to anybody. Like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I feel like unless you're showing your face on Instagram or something that everyone else is posting, and not even with like hashtags. Hashtags don't work. I don't know if you knew that. They don't work.
The Snyder Cut was released though. That was a hashtag.
Yeah, well, it has to be a hashtag that starts trending. It can't just be a hashtag. Yes. Yeah.
Certainly.
But the thing is, like, if it's not, we'll do like hashtag podcast, movie review, whatever. If I go onto my YouTube, that's on my TV, there's a different format than what is on your computer, basically. So one of the first things, it's like, it has a bunch of other things that you've searched for, right? Or things like what you've searched for. So it'll say movie review, podcast, and I'm like, so our shit, even though it uses that same hashtag and it's clearly a podcast and movie review all about this thing, it's not getting lumped into all of the other things because it's not going viral because of why. Like there's no, like,
we have no cats in it.
Yes. Okay. Perfect.
we need a little thing. We need a fun little thing that then some Instagram influencer can like tweet it out or Instagram it out and just be like, I was watching and the milk is spilled everywhere. And then like everyone's like, this is funny. This one like 3-second clip is amazing.
How depressing.
Say that
But
again.
anyway.
How depressing you say?
Yeah.
Okay. You broke up there for a quick second.
Oh, that's sad.
That's okay. Okay, well, yeah, so whatever. Social media culture, yes, we're all in a very odd vacuum of a blender right now. So the movie itself, we're going to dive into... I feel like, first of all, one of our frequent listeners, Mr. Nestor, had a note for us. Should we bring this up at the end? Should we talk a little bit and then talk about it?
We can say it. Well, let's talk about the negatives. I love that we're like people critique, but like that we're in agreement that this is a great movie. So like all the good parts, like we kind of know, but I'm curious as to what your negatives are.
So my negatives are really like, first of all, one of my main negatives that I don't know if too many people have talked about. I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm not trying to look for a new angle or anything, but
you should though.
One of the rough things was having seen the Joss Whedon version first.
Oh,
and I know that sounds like, yeah, you had. I know you had.
Oh yeah, I had. I was just gonna say this is an interesting take because everyone is saying that like in comparison it's better than that. So by default, this is like a good movie in comparison. But the problem is, I think and I'm with you. I think that this would have been a good movie on its own without that even fucking existing. Like
Oh,
that
yeah,
that
I mean-
actually puts a sour taste in your mouth rather than watching this and going, "Wow, this was really good in comparison." Bittersweet.
We could do a whole episode on how horribly Warner Brothers has fumbled this.
Absolutely.
And you could even talk about the entire franchise. They've been
Yep.
doing this shit forever. And in the 90s it was okay because they were at least pumping out product for a
Well,
while there.
what do they-
and it
what do they
ended up
have?
being good.
Spawn.
I mean, like Batman,
Blade.
Batman Returns. Oh, that. No, I mean, yeah, that's awful. Well, that's New Line. That is
Oh
New Line.
yeah. That's right.
But like I mean, like with
Hold on.
Batman specifically.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Racing around street corners. What in the world, man? So, I was talking about the movie,
Yeah.
and how seeing the 2017 Justice League version sort of it ruined a bit of the experience because the first like half of the movie, I want to say, there's a lot of shared footage. I'm talking specifically about the Battle of the Amazonians.
Yes. Yeah.
And oh gosh, I know there's more. I just can't. Like maybe Wonder Woman saving the
Yep.
day at the beginning.
That thing. That's the thing
couple
with the Joss Whedon. It's like it's all trimmed down. It's like to get.
totally.
We have to get to this point. Like.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
It was really weird because also the other one was the initial first battle with Justice League, and they get the giant spider out. I forget what they call that, spider tank or whatever.
I can't remember, but it's 2 hours in of the the Snyder cut.
And it was interesting. So when I watched the Joss Whedon version, especially that Amazonian sequence was like awesome. I was like, this is really quite something. And so watching it now, it was almost like I couldn't. It ruined it because I was like, this is like a much better version already, but I've also seen it, so it's not as exciting as it would have been. It's like he used all the best parts, but didn't use any of the awesome, cool stuff around it. And it was like he made like a sugar thing, and like this was more like a meat thing. And so it was like eating your dessert before having your meal. And it was like, man, like I wish this hadn't been spoiled for me. I wish I could have just seen it like this.
That's a good way to put it. Did your heart fall when the cylindrical dome thing fell into the sea?
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was shocked, actually.
I was like, Jesus.
But I thought they got out. I was like, oh, cool, they got out. And I remembered some of the other action stuff. So I was kind of playing it in my head, like, what happens next? I know there's like an arrow involved and something like that. And then it fucking fell into the fucking ocean. And I was like, this is hardcore right now.
Well, that's the thing is like, I mean, why would you cut? I mean, it makes sense from like their whole standpoint of like, stop making it dark. But then it's like, just because you injected quote unquote comedy in here doesn't make it lighter, you know? Like it's still dumb. It's dark and dumb. Ugh.
And there are already jokes in it too. And the jokes work. The
jokes work in the Snyder version because those jokes are specific to this thing. It actually was funny. I was so enamored with when there was humor. I was like, wow, that was funny. I didn't even laugh. I was like, wow, that was actually funny. But the Justice version.
And like Batman saying I'm rich was in the Snyder cut. Like he filmed, like that's funny. Like you can put that in there. I really do think we could do like an entire episode about, because so much of the critiques you might have are impacted by the fact that it is the real edition we were meant to see, and like all of the behind the scenes decisions that went into this, and how, I mean, Warner Brothers is I don't understand what they're really trying to do anymore as a company. They're all over the place, and they don't have a core concept anymore. They've lost, like, I don't want to say their soul, but like they've lost their acumen, their business acumen for being able to like choose projects. Well, for the most part.
The weirdest thing to me is they gave Zack Snyder a 3 picture deal, right? Like the whole thing was like, you'll do Man of Steel, Dawn of Justice, and then Justice League. But Justice League was supposed to be 2 movies.
It was supposed to be 2 movies at first.
Yeah.
And then there's obviously the poor reception to Batman versus Superman. So they were I'm surprised at how much of this is like a Snyder cut, because I thought that they had forced him to rewrite a decent amount of it during shooting, because it started shooting like 2 weeks after Batman versus Superman opened, basically.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Well,
so they were going into panic mode trying to figure out what they were going to do with it while they were like setting up sets and getting things together.
Well, there was a thing where they ordered rewrites and stuff to be cut out, so they had to redo the script, and then they started shooting, and then it was like his original version was similar to this, but it's not this. You know what I mean? Like, this was what was shot, and then other stuff that he had ideas for. Like, the end scene was supposed to be a Green Lantern. But they ended up turning it to Martian Manhunter. And I don't really mind. I mean, however you want to do it, I don't care.
And they weren't going to have the Knightmare sequence, so there's like a couple things he definitely shot just for funsies.
Yeah.
So it transformed from beyond his original cut, really, to a new, totally new version.
It transforms from the original, like it's like what he shot, but then also more of the original, because I'm pretty sure that Knightmare sequence was what was supposed to be in the original script that they had to rewrite, and then they started shooting, and then he had to leave, and then Joss Whedon came in, reshot a bunch of shit. Like, the whole idea of having him come on was like cutting stuff out to make it shorter, and by doing that, you're having, like, you know,
you're losing so much.
Yeah, you're having Wonder Woman and Batman talk in the park to actually, like, and throw a bunch of comedy lines that aren't actually funny. You have him just immediately there with Aquaman, shoot a couple random lines, and it's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was. So, but speaking of like the flaw, like a couple things I loved. We'll just get those out of the way real quick. I loved the framing. I thought the presentation was amazing.
I thought it worked.
It looked great on my TV. It worked. I thought it worked really well. Especially when you blow up or like look at the frames side by side, you're really not missing like anything.
I was gonna say that just now, but you already said it. But yeah, if you look at both of them side to side, maybe I'll put a clip in here. But you can see one shot is the Joss Whedon cut, and then one shot is the Zack Snyder cut. And if you look at the sides, you're literally missing absolutely nothing. The sides end at the exact same place. It's just blown up to cut off the top and the bottom. And it almost, like the Joss Whedon one, almost looks like zoomed in. Like, it has that effect where it looks dumb. It's like, why are we so... Yeah, it is. It's amateur.
So amateur. I mean, that whole movie is, if you look at it now, looking at like the horrible like hair or beard or makeup that they did with anybody. So I'm thinking specifically of Batman here, but like anybody. The lighting is atrocious, and like everything's so flat looking. There's just it's not cinematic. There's nothing. It's not luscious. It's not voluminous.
Yeah, it's what are you guys recording a podcast? Come on, what are you doing?
I know. It is though. I mean, it really feels like they were like, oh, let's like. We're at the park now. Like, here's a digital camera. Like, we can just saturate the shit out of it, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, and, it's like The Room. They literally, I mean, they roomed it. 2 different kinds of cameras. Like,
it really does feel like that because, like just the way it's like, that's good. Moving on, and then Ben Affleck's like, "Are you sure? Like, I don't know if that worked."
I think the most egregious scene for me from the Joss Whedon version is the opening scene with Batman at the, like, with the parademon on the roof, and then it explodes, and then there's 3 mother boxes, like, outlines or whatever. It's like, whose idea was this? This is so dumb. And then you watch this whole Snyder cut, and you're like, oh, that scene is completely unnecessary if you just use what this was, you know?
Yeah, I do think. I mean, they easily could have So they could have cut, I would say, I think they could have gotten this down to about 3 hours and
20.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And it would have been totally like good to go.
Yep. I agree with that.
I think at that point, but my thought process with a lot of things is like almost always doubling down. Like you have to know when to quit, but you also have to know when to stick to your guns and like say, all right, we're going to keep going. Because Batman vs. Superman, it was poorly received as like 25% tomato meter or whatever. But you're in the middle of production, you know, like you have to like do it at that point. You cannot, you can't just throw out something else.
But I'll be honest though. I think the idea of like, because Chris Terrio was the guy that wrote this, right? Mm-hmm. So he came in to like rewrite the original script, right? And then they started shooting, and for Justice League, the Snyder one. But what he had, like, the script that was used to shoot all that stuff was like rewritten after Batman vs. Superman, and that's what we have seen mostly. And I think without the Knightmare sequence, which is the epilogue, I think it's still I think all that before is a fantastic movie, and that's what we would have gotten in theaters. I genuinely do believe that him coming on to rewrite was probably for the best, because that's what we got now, and I think this movie is a fucking masterpiece. I really do.
Yeah, because I would imagine I guess I don't know for sure, but he probably did some of the humor or punched up some of that stuff and kind of made it a little less dour. Yeah, it's less depressing than Batman versus Superman. Strangely enough.
See, everyone said that Batman vs. Superman was depressing, but I don't remember it being depressing. You know,
it's just so like there's no humor. It's so very played straight.
Sure, there is straight. Lex Luthor.
But you know,
no, I get it. But that's the thing. Is like not they're dramas. They don't need humor. That's the thing. It's like. You don't necessarily have to break tension with humor. You can break tension with the next scene, you know? Like, not every horror movie has humor. The Evil Dead is pretty terrifying the whole time. The Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, pretty fucking funny. But they're I would say they're different kinds of movies. One's a horror, and one is a horror comedy. I don't necessarily think that even adding humor can make it better, you know? I think it's...
I agree. I mean,
whatever he did... Yeah. Whatever he did, it was great. I love this version. I'm curious to see what the original version was, though. You know?
Yeah. We'll never see... It's so funny that we'll never see that one, but we do have this, and it's awesome. So, whatever.
I'm happy.
I mean, I remember when... Like, I remember Batman versus Superman came out, and I was trying to imagine, like, I do this with movies. It's unintentional. It's not like I'm, like, sitting down and meditating on this, but, like, I'll be on IMDb, which I'm not on at all anymore, interestingly enough. But just looking at, like, upcoming projects for various people involved in movie productions, whatever they are, and seeing, like, Justice League Part 1, Justice League Part 2, and, like, they're in pre-production. I was like, I wonder what that's going to look like. Like, like, Batman versus Superman hasn't even come out yet. What's it going to look like? Like, is it going to be... Batman flying in the Batwing, like, are we going to get that cool image, or how are they going to work it together? And then seeing what it is, you try not to have preconceived notions going into anything, but of course it's hard not to. It's you end up just kind of letting yourself start thinking a little bit about it, and I don't know how it didn't really negatively or positively impact it. It's just interesting, like how many different versions there kind of are to ourselves. What could be, what could have been.
I mean, anything that you've made, I mean, you know, anything you've written or whatever, there's different drafts to everything. And this was a draft that, to me, is like a completed, revised version. And then what we got was with, you know, Justice League is when the dumb kid in class revises your paper, and you're like, you don't know how to use an Oxford comma, do you?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So I mean, I do think it would have been. It's a great movie. It would have been much better if Warner Brothers had just let it go and maybe tried to certainly cut some stuff out. You probably could have completely cut out parts, the epilogue entirely.
Yes, I would say
frankly.
that. But the thing is, they were supposed to do another one after this, which was going to be maybe
Injustice.
It was going to be Injustice, where I think this is what I heard. I don't know if it's true or how true it is. I don't know if it's Zack Snyder trolling, but it was basically Bruce Wayne sleeps with Lois Lane, and she dies, and then that's what turns Superman evil. And it's like, is that true?
It's that, but he also meets up with Darkseid and gets like the anti-life upon him. So it's like normally he'd be able to resist that type of stuff, but like this type of grief, it has like latched onto that.
But why does Bruce Wayne sleep with Lois Lane? I don't understand that.
So that was when Clark had died. I believe it was in the interim that happened. I think that's what it was. And I think there's a hint at that in Justice League because there's a pregnancy test in Lois's bedside drawer.
But I just assumed it would be Clark's baby because he wasn't dead for longer than 9 months.
Right, so she wouldn't have had it yet. I mean, I don't know how the time works. That's just the theory. And honestly, even if they wanted to go that route, they could still do it. Like you can easily fuck around with that shit and make it.
See, to me that's dark. That's something that I would like. What? But you have to why? I don't understand why that Bruce Wayne that we just saw in Justice League, like you'd have to rewrite it based on what we had just seen, because I don't think that would be something that that character would have done. And I don't think Lois would have fucked him back, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess like it's just like slapping him.
I'm gonna fuck you back.
So
to the Stone Age. All right.
I say like this is another one of those things where I read about that too, and there were these online communities that are like, that's stupid, like that would never happen, and I'm like, I don't care. Like I honestly at this point I'm not like trusting Snyder, like I'm not like a worshiper, but I appreciate what he's doing.
Same.
And I like seeing an adult take, a swing and a miss even on this type of content. So if he wanted to do that, I'd probably be like, whatever. Like, I don't care. Batman killed people in Batman versus Superman. I don't care. People find all sorts of things to, it's not an exact. People always bring up the comics like, well, that didn't happen in the comics. And I don't care. Dude, it doesn't matter.
I'm with you.
None of that matters.
I am such a big fan of the graphic novel version. Like, everyone jerks off over Frank Miller. And then, like, when they make something that's true to that form, people are like, I don't like it. And you're like, but you like the thing that this is based on, but it's like not 1939. What the fuck? So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm blown away. But and I want to explain this too with like the Bruce and Lois thing. If this was planned, I have enough faith in Snyder to actually explain this. Because one thing that he's really good at doing is explaining things, but not like to the death. I will give it this. This is the way. This is an example. The scene where they all kind of together come up with the idea of the mother boxes bringing Superman back to life. That was amazing in this Snyder cut of Justice League. It was like revolving around the table. It's looking up at them, and then they all kind of like keep answering each other's senses, and you don't really even understand what they're talking about because 2.5 hours have gone by and they haven't mentioned Superman, and then all of a sudden, I'm not going to say it. Who's going to say it? And then Cyborg fucking shows the holographic thing of Superman. Like it was, and the music cue, it was perfect. Loved it. And
I have to say I know I like that scene too, and one of the things I liked about it was as they were speaking their lines of dialogue, I could imagine myself being there in that conversation. And sometimes, like, the Flash is a good example of this, where he would just toss out a line, like an idea, and they would kind of build off of that. And I was like, this is how conversations work. Yes! Like, this is awesome.
Yes!
I totally get, like, when you're in a situation like this, you just kind of have to say something sometimes to see what's going to happen. Because that's how communication works, because that's how ideas are built, and you kind of, it's brainstorming.
Yes.
And
it's the most authentic form of this is his best movie. I mean, this is it right here. It's everything came together so perfectly. I was watching this movie. I was watching this movie going, I think every movie should be 4 hours. I'm loving every second of this.
I will say, I do miss. I mean, yeah, I kind of know what you mean. I like movies like this. I mean, it's a 4 hour like Batman movie. And it's like, it's awesome. It has some great character moments. It has awesome action sequences. It's very adult, but like still full of like that comic bookiness that is fun. Yeah.
And I think I'll finish the Lois thing and then back to you. But
yeah.
Yeah, what am I, the fucking Monopoly banker now? Yeah, and then back to you.
It's all good.
But based on that scene, I think that the team of Terrio and Snyder, I really think that they could explore that Bruce and Lois thing and make it make sense. That's the thing, is like, I think they're a really good team. I genuinely think that those two guys together made this really great movie.
After seeing Cyborg inside of his own mind and watching a bull and a bear fight, and then all of that entire scene, they completely described his entire backstory in 6 minutes, and also made it the most amazing, like, operatic, crazy, philosophical thing.
Yep.
And it was done rather simply in a weird way. Like, it was like they're conveying so much and they're not trying to shove it in my face, and it's just working. Everything's clicking with this. Then I think they could figure something out with Batman and Lois.
I mean, I wish it would happen. I think it would be a great idea for HBO to bankroll
they need to. I don't know if it's. I have my doubts that it will happen. I'm happy that we at least got the trilogy of like Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Justice League. It's a solid trilogy. It would be awesome. Like, I like that Knightmare stuff. I was actually. This is one of the things that was interesting to me, to kind of talking about how sometimes you're in your own head making up what you think it's going to look like. And when I first saw in like 2015, they were going to be doing Justice League 1 and 2 back to back. I'm looking like, what's this going to look like? And I had no idea it would be like a Mad Max Wasteland type scenario. And I thought, like, I was like, hearing about it, I was like, that's kind of weird. But at the same time, it hasn't been done before.
No, that's what I was thinking.
It would be an epic type of scene. And to see like Batman in the, like, just like, that's such a great idea. It's so out there. It's like almost. It's like, what can we do with these characters? Let's do this crazy shit. Like, all right, cool.
It's so intriguing. I'm hooked. Like, show me this movie.
A heist movie in like a post-apocalypse with Batman and the Joker hiding from Superman. Like, how could you not be into that? It doesn't even sound action-packed to me. It sounds much more like a Dirty Dozen type movie.
And dude, I love Dirty Dozen. I love The Great Escape. I fucking
like that kind of stuff.
Love that.
That's what this conjures up in my mind after seeing all of this stuff. And it's like, dude, just do it. You have the sets from Army of the Dead in the backyard still, right? Like, let's do this.
And that's the thing, too, is like, I mean, even if they don't expand it, based on the Knightmare sequence that we saw in Justice League, Zack Snyder cut, and then also the Knightmare sequence that was in Batman vs. Superman, Batman gets captured two different ways, right? So
he wasn't technically captured, I don't think, though, in
this one.
Nightmare, Was it? I haven't seen it twice. I would actually like to see it again, but I have not seen it.
I considered watching it again, but my pinched nerve was like, you can't sit for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, well, Superman was right behind them. That's how his dream ends. And he turns around and there's Superman. So, I don't know. To me, it's like, it's all up in the air. Like, these are just dream sequences. But if it does get expanded, we could have like a, this is the real way it happens kind of thing. I'm so fascinated by all of that. I want to see that.
It's so funny looking back at Batman vs Superman, and everybody was hating on that sequence, even though it was well done. I feel like people appreciated it, but it was like completely out of place with the rest of the movie. And they were talking about how, I can't believe they're planting scenes for future sequels in like this movie. Like, just focus on Batman and Superman. And
well, I think we brought that up because the Ultimate Cut hadn't come out yet.
It had not. And seeing this one too, like seeing the whole thing, and if there had been that Justice League Part 2 where this does happen, it would have been like, just a general progression, and it would have made sense, and other movies do it too. So I guess I don't get.
Yeah.
And it works within the context of that story. So it's just like, he's afraid of Superman. Like, that's what Batman versus Superman is. Like, we said this when it came out. It makes sense in that context. So yes, I would love to see more. Who wouldn't love to see more?
Pieces of shit.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah. What is your other qualm? You said you had another qualm.
Basically, just like it really has to do with like length, and that is that they could have cut out all of the epilogue. They could have cut out Martian Manhunter talking to Lois. These are like the ones that everyone is kind of talking about. Like, they're brief little moments where it's like, you could have just cut that out completely.
It's more laying groundwork for something that's not coming. I think that's the reason. I feel like if we would have seen this knowing another one was coming, be like, ooh, where's this gonna go? That would have been cool. But it's like, it doesn't fit because we know nothing's coming.
I guess, that's true. But I think part of it too is just that, like, it's easy to forgive because it's nice to see a movie where, like, you don't see, this is a singular movie. You don't see movies like this where you just have whatever. Like, he literally didn't cut anything out. He could have, but he was like, I have the opportunity to literally put whatever I want in here. And it's not a movie necessarily. It's more of an experience.
Yep.
Like, he put those in just to put those scenes in, and they probably would have been cut from a theatrical cut. So it's like a different medium almost. It's a movie. I mean, it is a movie, but it's not like a theatrical movie. It is direct to streaming, but it also has a solid fan base in an existing edition already. And so there's so many different things going on to create this variation that it's like, why not just throw everything in it? And it makes it more enjoyable on one hand, and on the other hand, it makes you wonder, like, could this have been released theatrically? And if so, could they have cut out all of this stuff and made it a little bit tighter and been able to show that?
I mean, I love the idea that this is the director's cut and that there would be a theatrical cut that is like, 3 hours, 20 minutes. So it's 40 minutes cut out of this. And it would be the Knightmare sequence. It would be would you cut the whole conversation, or would you just cut Martian Manhunter?
Just Martian Manhunter. I like the conversation.
I loved the conversation. Thought it was fucking great.
And it's just weird because, like, they meet up again later in the movie, and at no point is Lois like, wow, it's so nice that you came out to visit me over in Metropolis. She's like, what are you talking about? I wasn't there for my farm. I forgive the movie, though. I mean, it's a good movie. You don't see stuff like this, and there are so many good parts to it. The final action scene where, like, Batman is driving around,
dude,
it's chain gunning parademons, and everyone has a role to play. The whole scene with the Flash is amazing, and then him and the camera transition into Cyborg after they make the electrical charge is literally unparalleled. I'm gonna throw it out there, because in, like, Avengers movies you'll see everyone doing their own thing, but in this movie it goes from him doing his thing, and then it leads directly into the next person doing their thing, and they directly correlate with one another to create this moment. It was very cool.
Yeah, that's called teamwork, Kevin. And I feel like that should be highlighted more, because the first one did not feel like that at all. Like, Superman literally leaves to go help that Russian family.
Because otherwise he would have just easily dispatched the villain, and it was like, it would have been over.
And in this one, he's beating the shit out of Steppenwolf, laser eyes his stupid horn off. It was so epic, and everyone's working together. Mm-hmm. And that, I really liked seeing that. That was, like, it felt like a Justice League movie, because they're a team. You so rarely see that. I mean, even in Civil War, it was like, a team versus a team. And, they were kind of working together. Infinity War, everyone's kind of working together, but it's like groups of people coming together. Endgame, it was the same thing, but this was like a core group of people working together, doing their own thing. It was really cool. I liked it. Yeah. Loved it. Still love all those other movies, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair to those, they have such huge casts, like even bigger than in this one. So, and there's so much going on that they had to bounce around so much.
Well, I think that scene in Endgame where everyone's doing their own thing, like, and I really love all the women lining up or whatever.
Oh yeah,
everyone shit all over.
It seems, I know.
Yeah, everyone shit all over that, and I'm like, isn't this awesome though? Like,
I thought it was awesome.
It's pretty cool. I mean,
it was great. It was great. I thought, because like I knew that there were female characters, and I knew that Marvel was making it a point to try to like include more female superheroes throughout the decade prior to Endgame, and then to see them all in that shot, I was like, damn, they really have, like, you forget about some of the characters, and it's not just female, like, it's male character. Like, I will forget about certain characters until they pop up again. So to see them all together in one shot, I'm like, damn it, because it's been 10 years, like, I can't remember all of this shit. So seeing them together, it's like, this is cool, like, way to go.
I loved it, thought it was really cool, and I remember that being like, and that was the thing that Ryan George had in his pitch meeting, is just like, why would they all be standing there, like, that kind of thing. And it's like, I realize it's just a joke, and I know for a fact he's like, that's cool when he's watching it, but as the characters he's portraying in the pitch meeting video, it's like, this is the joke. Like, I get that, I understand, but coming from a real point and no humor, I think it was great. I think it's funny, or I think it's great.
So we are going to wrap up, though, but I do want...
Did you have any more qualms?
Not at the moment.
I have one.
Okay, yeah.
Every time Wonder Woman came on, that music started.
Yes.
And it's not the Wonder Woman theme, which is like, or however it goes. Yeah, I like that. This was like a ha ha.
Ancient lamentation music.
Every fucking time. Same scene. Like, she goes away, comes back, and that was my one qualm of like, oh Jesus, there's so many other music cues from her theme you could have used. Oof.
That was a very odd choice.
Yeah.
And I wonder why they did that.
They didn't do it for anyone else.
Like, they did it. They have that everything and the kitchen sink approach. So for them, was that also being like, you know what? Let's just do it whenever she's on screen. Is that like, I do wonder what the decision making was there. I didn't like, I don't know how to put this. The movie, there's so much going on in the movie that it's hard for me to like focus on that, even though I did notice it. It is baffling.
Yeah,
it is baffling.
I only noticed it because I was watching it while Jackie was in the room, and she's like, "Wow, they play that every time she's on screen," and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of, and then she went away, and then she came back again, and I turned to Jackie and I was like, "This is overkill for sure."
Yeah. Oh yeah,
because it happened like 4 times in a row.
It really did. It was, and that's not an exaggeration. I mean, it was very egregious.
Too much. But that's my only qualm. That's it.
Yep. So, I mean, it was good. It was great. I hope they make more. And, I see like Godzilla vs. Kong came out, and it's like, I'm going to watch it because like I have to.
Yeah.
But I'm also not excited. Like, I was excited for Justice League. Like, I'm excited for these big event ideas and like these swings and misses, and you never know what you're gonna get, but at least you're looking at something different.
I'm not excited for Godzilla versus Kong. I'll watch it. Maybe that'll be the next one we review in 4 weeks. But
I'm gonna watch it tonight or tomorrow, so
I'll probably watch it tomorrow. Next one I'm excited. Next one I'm excited about: Mortal Kombat.
I don't actually have like I'm excited, but like I'm not like like Justice League was an event. Like I was so psyched to see it.
I get it. You're excited for me.
I am excited for you though.
Yeah,
I mean that's great. I am.
I am such a huge Mortal Kombat fan, and I'm so excited to see this movie. Cannot wait. They pushed it back a week to let Kong or Godzilla versus Kong breathe. Did you see that?
Yeah. I think that was actually a good idea, I have to say. Marketing wise or like, money wise.
I get it, but motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel like there is one more that's coming out that I am excited. Oh, the Suicide Squad is going to be coming out in, I think, August.
Did you watch that trailer?
I did.
I did too.
I believe in James Gunn.
I do too.
So I guess I am really excited to see it because I like James Gunn movies.
Yeah.
Although he's only had like 5. But I can say that confidently, I think. I mean, Slither was great. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies are great. Super with Rainn Wilson is quite fun.
Didn't see it.
Oh, really? You should... not to be that guy, but you should watch it if you get a chance. It's fun. It's very fun. Fun's kind of the wrong word, but it's very fun at the same time.
I think I own it. But
Elliot Page.
Well, he was Ellen Page then. Mm-hmm. Now he is Elliot Page. But yeah,
mm-hmm.
Is he still acting? Is he gonna act? Okay.
Yeah, he is. Well, I'm curious how this works because there's never been. I don't know if he's undergoing like transition or not. Mm-hmm. I haven't really looked into it, but he is a star of the Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, I did know that.
And my understanding is he plays a female character in it. At least,
yeah.
I mean, and I've not seen the show, so I don't know. But I'm curious how that would work, I suppose.
I don't know.
Just as a producer, if you're making a movie, I mean, like the show is successful for Netflix.
Yeah, so they'll do another season. I mean, you could easily just the fan base of that show is gonna go with whatever. Like it's not like a bunch of fucking Republicans are watching the Umbrella Academy.
That's true.
It's like young people, like Gen Zers, and I guarantee they're just like, well, why don't you just have the character get a trans operation? So therefore, the character who's a girl becomes a guy.
I mean, there's magic in it, right? I feel like maybe that's a thing. I don't know. I don't have.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe the girl in the show is straight. I have no idea.
But
I don't know. So
before we wrap up, I do want to address what Nestor said.
Yes,
so
please.
Question. Do you remember?
No, hold on. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, look it up. I got dinner to eat.
I do too.
You're eating late over there. It's like 8:15 almost.
Yeah, I know. Did he text me? Yes, he did. All right. So good old listener and YouTube watcher. He said a lot of things. He called me a cunt. I'm kidding.
Sure, for sure.
He said when you and Kev finally get around to make this was March 21st, by the way. When you and Kev finally get around to making a pod about the Snyder Cut, can you please try to explain why people hated BVS so much? It's got a 6.4 on IMDb, while Justice League has a 6.2. To me, there's no excuse as to why BVS would barely be better than what Whedon put out. He is 100% correct.
He is right. He's absolutely right. And I do think... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I believe that we were ahead of our time in saying that BVS is fantastic. So.
That's what I was going to say, is I feel very validated because we really loved that movie. I saw it 3 times in the theater. And I'm not someone to do that. I just loved it. It was just so different from anything I had seen. And that I think that is a true statement for the most part. Well, you don't see these because it was like a comic book movie. Like for example, Batman, would not survive those fights, right? Like
No.
he's zooming around and fucking shit up and whatever with his grappling hook. But it was presented in such a way where it felt like you were just watching people on the street, and it was awesome. And it was awesome. It's a great movie. I stand by that. I think it's interesting to see that it is rated higher on IMDb. That's what the text said, right?
Point
By
two
point two?
0.2 higher. So BVS has a 6.4. Justice League has a 6.2.
And
that's insane to me.
It's interesting too because on the tomato meter, BVS is behind, but Justice League is ahead. So they're kind of flip flopped. They're
insane.
both completely wrong. I think that BVS deserves more on both counts. It is really weird when it came out. I think people really wanted to hate that movie. I think that they wanted to. I don't think Man of Steel did not get great reviews. I think when BVS came out, especially in the theatrical form, it was a little more muddled in some spots. And people were like, what is this? What am I watching? And they wanted to be able to hate something. And it was so easy to hate that movie. I don't know why. I think it's kind of like when Britney Spears had her meltdown and shaved her head and everyone was like laughing about it and calling her names. Like they just needed a sacrificial lamb to give their negative energy towards.
Yeah, and this was before Trump was elected, wasn't it?
It was. I don't remember. I don't think it was. I think it was it was before. It was before. Technically, the election was 2016, but it wasn't until November 2016 that the election actually took place, and the movie came out in like March or something like that. Yeah.
So my thing is like Obama was still president, and people were still shit asses. So
people are always shit asses.
That's the takeaway. People are always shit asses, and I think you're completely correct. I think people were just looking for a reason to hate this movie. And Nestor even says, he says, is Snyder's affinity to dark tone really so much of a fetish that it ruins his films? And I'll say this: everyone says dark tone when it comes to Zack Snyder, but I mean, it almost makes me wonder, have you and I just seen so many movies that doesn't even fucking faze us? Like, I have seen every Marvel movie. I've also seen every DC movie. I fucking hate Aquaman. I think Aquaman is a shit
love Aquaman.
Movie. People love Aquaman. I loved Shazam. I thought Shazam was fucking terrific.
People love Shazam, though.
People do love Shazam. What I'm saying is I love BVS, and I love the new Justice League. And I also love Endgame, Infinity War, two of the darkest fucking Marvel movies also.
Totally.
And
Absolutely.
People love those. I don't understand why. And I love a director that has a stamp too. And I think that he's telling good stories with it. I don't know. Call me crazy.
I think part of it is his visual, like his sense of visual, like not just the palette, like the color, but also like slow-mo or his framing or how everything is kind of shot in such a way where it's like bam, bam. Like it's very much the way it's framed is like storyboarded like a comic. It's very exact angles and editing, unlike a lot of shaky cam that you might see in Marvel.
But go ahead.
Well, I feel like it just adds like a music video feel to it, and I think people find that too stylized, and I think that maybe that mixed with the darkness that people are groaning at it.
But that's the thing. People, the general, and I'm generalizing, but mostly what I've heard is like people are like, he's a good director. He has a good eye. His visionary sense is good. But like what the stories that he's telling are so dark and gross and just sad and down. And I'm like, have you seen Schindler's List? I mean, do you not want slow-mo with depressing? Is that the fucking problem? I mean, I don't know. I don't get that whole thing of like, I don't know. I look at them as graphic novels, and fucking V for Vendetta, Watchmen, these are depressing graphic novels about the state of the world that we're living in. If you're not pissed off, something's wrong with you. This is a reflection of that. And if you don't want that from superhero movies, that's fine. But I think it's about the story that's being told. And I think that the allegories and metaphors that are in BVS are very reflective of what's happening and I think it was before its time, because I think it's really reflective of now as well. You know?
I think Justice League, people finally have an outlet for that different kind of comic book movie that they've been craving. And they finally, it's like they only realize what they have once it's gone. And they're like, oh shit, this is actually pretty good. And it's not perfect, but it's really good. At times it's amazing. And it's better than nothing. It's better than Justice League. It's better than Aquaman. I didn't love Aquaman. Aquaman was so interesting to me that everyone loved it, because it was like, this is just a normal comic book movie. Like nothing is going on in this. I'm impressed that they were able to not make him campy. Like, I didn't really find it too campy.
Oh, really? That was what I hated about it.
See, I thought there was camp involved, but I thought that for the most part, Aquaman is so hard to do in any sort of serious way.
I guess.
So in that regard, like, they played up some parts of camp to be funny, to kind of comment, almost like to take away from, like, it's actually not too campy, is it? Like, it kind of is, but it's not really at the same time.
I mean, isn't there a joke in there where he, like, smells like fish or something? Like, he smells gross. Like, Amber Heard makes some joke about how stinky he is. And I'm like, bitch, you live in the sea, too.
Yeah, what? I don't know. I haven't seen it literally since it came out in 2017, 2018. I
think it was 2018.
So I don't remember, yeah.
But Shazam was great.
Shazam was good. I liked Shazam, but I didn't love it. That was another one where the director was great.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just had a perfect sense of flow and in editing and, like, in how a movie looks, like how a movie needs to go. There was a real artistic integrity to that movie.
This is what I really liked about Shazam. Shazam opens with the villain's backstory. I thought that was incredibly fascinating.
And I'm really into mystical stuff if it's done well.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there aren't too many movies where it's done well, honestly.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, but I don't think that even did it the way this does it. This almost felt like a weird, like, Mortal Kombat, Lord of the Rings crossover type thing, where it was just like ancient worlds. I mean, yeah, Doctor Strange does have that, so, but not quite the same to me. But I don't know. I'll watch whatever. I'll watch a lot of things they'll come out with. Like, I cannot get over just. I think final thought is just Warner Brothers has no idea what they're doing. They're throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. Some of it works. Some of it is overproduced garbage like Justice League. And some of it is like in the middle where they had plenty of time to rewrite the script and change whatever needed to be changed so that it wouldn't be like a Zack Snyder movie. And then you get Aquaman.
Yep.
And it's like, you guys are fucking really bad at your jobs. Like, really, really bad. They remind me of a poorly run football team where you keep signing. You're like, I think this player is going to work. Like, he had a good year. Let's sign him. How about this coach? He's like the new hot coach candidate. Let's get him in here. But they have no idea what the hell they're doing. And you need to have a foundation to have success. And it's so crazy that they don't understand that. This isn't even about having every character have their own movie before meeting up, like was what in the Avengers. I think a lot of people get hung up on that. It's not about that. It's about just not being terrible at producing movies. Like, you can produce any movie. Just have a vision and stick with it, and don't be like micromanaging psychos who are looking at every single little decision.
Well, it goes with the, I mean, we've talked about this before, but Bond. Like, it goes with the Bond. Eon Productions, they don't know what they're doing, because something will be great in a Bond movie, and then the next one they'll be like, okay, none of that, and we'll double down on the bullshit. And then you get Spectre. And then the next one, I'm still waiting on this one to come out. I mean, this is insane.
So true. That's a great comparison, because Spectre should have been... That's funny, because Spectre does double down, but it doubles down on the wrong things.
Yeah.
And Justice League doubles down on the right things.
Yep.
So it's interesting to talk about that actually, because you do wonder what those conversations are like, and how, like, there's got to be spreadsheets with like loads of data on what they want to include, or how the flow of a structure and flow of a story and plot would look, and what kind of scenes they want to include, what kind of action scenes, what kind of dialogue and like characters they want. And they fuck it up so much. It's not hard. It's so not hard.
Well, I mean, it's. I think one of the most fascinating things to me is Friday the 13th Part 1 and 2, because, and we'll throw 3 in there for good measure, but 1 is like, Halloween was big. We need to make a slasher with kids. What do we do? Where do we put them? Oh, a lake. Twist ending, the mom's doing it, it's like Psycho. It's all these other things that are like inspiring it to make it this thing. Becomes a huge hit. The next year, let's make a sequel. Fuck it, we cut the mom's head off. Like, what the fuck? How do we make a sequel? Jason's still alive, but he drowned. Fuck it. And then you make one of the greatest sequels of all time to me. I think Friday the 13th Part 2 is great, because you're taking what was established in the first one, but you're expanding on that lore, and you're opening up the world. And then the third one is going back to the same world and just doing more of the same. And it's shit. I hate 3. I think 3 is terrible. And then 4 is like, we're upping the ante. There's 2 houses. There's a family involved. It's not just kids at a lake. And then 4 is good, right? You have characters you care about. And then 5 is like, all right, well, we still got to make them, even though we said the last one was the last one. But, copycat killer. And it's like, oh, that's dumb. And then the 6th one, you're like, okay, let's go back. Let's harken it back. And then it's a good one. And then 7 is like, oh, let's make it like Carrie. And it's like, this could be a good idea, but then the fucking studio gets involved and ruins it. And the MPAA hacks it to pieces. And then 8, the studio again cuts the budget, so it can't actually be New York. It's like, continually, the studio, and there's just this ebb and flow of like everything. And it's like, I get it was the 80s and the MPAA was bullshit, but at the same time, it's not like these movies are cut and like having the gore in would make it a fucking masterpiece, you know?
It's especially funny with those examples, I have to say, because those are all relatively low budget. It's not like they're spending a ton of money. And like, I don't get why in a situation like that, you wouldn't just hire like some independent filmmaker to make whatever they wanted, like within reason, like within a budget, because you don't need New York. Have him be shipped through the desert. Like, we haven't seen Jason in the desert, and you could have like some crazy shaman mummy thing. I don't know. But like, all of this stuff, you could do anything. And as people are going to pay to see it, so you might as well just kind of do something different and good.
Yeah.
Like a black and white, full frame, 1930 style Friday the 13th movie with Jason, and he's battling a mummy. Like, let's watch. How much could that cost? Nothing. $1 million. Seriously.
Jason. I mean, 8 could have just been Jason on a cruise ship. I mean, that would have been original. And then how about the sequel? If this one does well, then the 9th one, him going to Manhattan. He kills everyone on the boat. He gets to Manhattan. And then you got a twofer. Holy shit. You just made 2 movies back to back.
I know. I really don't get it. Like, I don't. Those things are shot so quickly. It's really interesting too when you have a franchise like that, where it's like there's a built-in audience, so people want to see it. Like, you're gifted this amazing opportunity. You have the foundation is built. Like, it's there. You don't have to do anything anymore. You just have to make movies. You can be like, hey, we're doing 2 movies back to back. Jason on a cruise, Jason in Manhattan. What's up? Like, we're going to do it. Who cares? Like, can you pump out a script? Yeah, in like 5 days. Like, seriously, there's nothing to this.
I mean, it's almost like the people in charge of the people making the thing, because the studio's not making the thing. They're just giving the money to make the thing. It's almost like they have no imagination. So anytime someone with an imagination comes in and is like, hey, how about this? They're like, I don't know. That's not what I was thinking. Motherfucker, no one cares about what you were thinking. All you need is just okay it, and we'll do it. That's it.
Yeah.
By the way, your mic is a little weird. I'm just saying that for the other people listening.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know if it's that. I think it's just like a different input or something.
Oh,
but
I don't know. I've been having trouble with it all day, so whatever.
That's
actually a good place to end. I'm gonna
perfect.
Yep, I always love talking about this stuff. I'm sure there's boatloads we can talk about this. We pretty much do that all the time. Anyways.
Me too. I'll hashtag Friday the 13th and then see what the fuck happens.
I used to do hashtags just for fun. I didn't actually try to get anything trending. I would just be like, hashtag I'm at a Pizza Hut. Like, it'd be unnecessarily long.
Like a Fallout Boy song.
Exactly. Yep. Thanks
all right, brother.
Okay.
Thanks for the memories. Okay, bye.
Have a good night, and thanks for
too.
listening, everybody. Go subscribe to HBO Max, or don't.
Subscribe to us, you pieces of shit. Just kidding. I love you all. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.